Good morning, children. Hope you are all doing good. Today we will continue with yet another class of The Tempest, Act 2, Scene 1. We will continue from where we left in the last class. Now, Sebastian, after having heard Antonio had given reason why ebbing men reached the lowest ebb in their life. He said it was because of either laziness on their part or because of the fear of undertaking that task. So Sebastian, hearing that, said, "Pray thee, say on. The setting of thine eye and cheek proclaim a matter from thee, and a birth indeed, which thors thee much to yield." Now Sebastian says that he prays means he begs of Antonio to continue saying what he intended to say. Why? Because the setting of thine eyes and cheek proclaim. Why? Because the setting means a fixed look in the eyes of Antonio and the flushed look on his cheek, the color on the face of Antonio clearly showed that there was something very important and something vital or crucial that Antonio wished to convey to Sebastian. And the word thors means the pangs, the pain of childbirth. Now, what Antonio had to convey, he said this flushed look, this fixed look on his face, it seems to convey that, he was undergoing a sort of hard labor, or he seems to be laboring hard to say what was in his mind. Like, a woman who experiences severe labor pains while giving birth to a child. So whatever was in the mind of Antonio, it seemed to be afflicting him as much as the pain of childbirth. All right. So here, this also is a metaphor. That is the labor he was taking in revealing this to Antonio seems to be as painful to him as the labor that a woman undergoes when she has to give birth to a child. Then Antonio continues, "Thus, sir, although this lord of weak remembrance, this who shall be of as little memory when he is earthed, hath here almost persuaded, for he is a spirit of persuasion only, professed to persuade the king his sons alive. It's impossible that he is undrowned and he sleeps here swim." Now here Antonio says, "Thus, sir." Thus, sir means this is what I have to say. Although this lord of weak remembrance. Now who is this lord he is referring to? He is referring to Gonzalo. And he calls him a lord of weak remembrance. Weak remembrance, why? Because Gonzalo is an old counselor and he seems to mock at him by saying that he is an old feeble man whose memory has gone weak because of the advancing age. "This who shall be of little memory when he is earthed." Earthed means buried in the earth. And when is someone buried in the earth? After he dies. Now he says, and this lord of weak remembrance, Gonzalo, will be hardly remembered by people. Will be of little memory means he will be hardly remembered by the people after he is dead and gone, buried under the earth. So this old lord of weak remembrance has almost persuaded whom? Alonso. And why has he persuaded? Because he is a spirit of persuasion. That is, it is his profession, his job to persuade people. So he says that Gonzalo had almost persuaded the king to believe, or he had persuaded the king into believing that his son was alive. Alright, so he says that Gonzalo and whatever is said in between obstructs the general idea. All right. So the main idea is that Gonzalo had almost succeeded in persuading Alonso into believing that his son Ferdinand was alive. And whatever is said in between is said in a cynical manner about Gonzalo. Number one, that he is a man of weak remembrance because of his advancing age. Number two, that he will be hardly remembered after he dies. He is buried and dead and gone. And he is a spirit of persuasion. His job is to keep the king in good humor and persuade him. So, because of all these reasons, he has persuaded the king to believe that his son Ferdinand was still alive. On the contrary, he says it is impossible that he is undrowned. Now, these are two antonyms used together, or two negatives used together to convey a positive sense. One thing is impossible and the second is undrowned. Now, he says it is impossible that Ferdinand has not drowned. So that means it is perfectly correct to believe that Ferdinand has drowned. So he says it is impossible to accept that Ferdinand is undrowned. So if you take these two negatives as positive, it will mean that for sure Ferdinand is drowned, dead and gone. As that he sleeps here, swim. So to think that Ferdinand is yet undrowned is as impossible to believe as to say that these people who were sleeping in front of them, that is Gonzalo, Alonso, the other lords. So if somebody said that these people who are sleeping in front of them, Alonso, Gonzalo and the other lords, they are swimming and not sleeping. Now, if somebody said that these people in front of them were swimming, it would be impossible to believe. Anyone would say, what nonsense. They are not swimming, but they are sleeping. So as impossible it is to believe that the people in front of them are sleeping and not swimming, as impossible it is to think that Ferdinand is yet undrowned. Sebastian says, I have no hope that he is undrowned. Now, no hope, undrowned. Again, two negative, meaning one positive. That is, Sebastian has got no hope that Ferdinand is still undrowned. That is, he believes that Ferdinand is drowned, dead. Oh, out of that no hope, what great hope have you? No hope that way is another way so high a hope that even ambition cannot pierce a wink beyond. But doubt discovery there. Will you grant me that Ferdinand is drowned? So Antonio says that out of that no hope of Ferdinand being alive. Now he says if he accepts that Ferdinand is drowned, so out of that no hope of Ferdinand being alive, what great hope it opens up for Antonio. All right. If he believes that there is no hope of Ferdinand being alive, then no hope of Ferdinand being alive opens such vast hopes for advancement of Sebastian. So Ferdinand being dead, there being no hope of his surviving, what great hope does Sebastian have because of that? No hope that way is another way so high, a hope that even ambition cannot pierce wing beyond. Now it says to hope that there is no hope of Ferdinand's survival is another way of saying that there is such great hope of advancement for Sebastian that even ambition cannot see as far as that point. All right, that means even ambition cannot take a wink as high as that. So that means there being no hope for Prince Ferdinand being alive means high hopes for the future of Sebastian. Now, Sebastian can almost stretch his hopes to that uttermost limit of ambition. He can even harbor those ambitions beyond which there can be no further ambition that he can think of. All right, now being the king of the country is the biggest ambition that someone can nurture. So he says that now Sebastian can stretch his hope to that uttermost limit of ambition. He can cherish even that ambition beyond which no further object of ambition appears. So he can stretch his ambition even to that extent beyond which all visible objects appear dim, faint, doubtful, and all. And then he says, do you agree, do you grant means do you agree, do you accept that Ferdinand is drowned? And Sebastian says he's gone. Then tell me who is the next heir of Naples. So he says if Sebastian agrees that Ferdinand is dead, then he should answer this question. Who, according to Sebastian, would be the next heir to the throne of Naples after Ferdinand?